Hey Dest, this is doing your offline review. Viego versus Volibear. Let's get right into it. We are pathing down this game. I think you could path either side of this game, to be honest. I think it really doesn't matter. I think, actually, anytime it's either side, usually pathing down is better. Usually, I always like to say path towards volatility or, gankable lanes. In this case, neither bot or top is really gankable or fighting. So you just path to whatever's best for you, which is usually downwards because it's towards the dragon. And because of your Raptor word, you can see that he actually also started top side. But in this case, he started Raptors, so it's good to know because potentially if he goes for like a bot gank or a mid gank or something like that, you can play to take his respawn Raptors, right? But we're just full clearing like normal. Here, I think we should just base instantly go top crab. The reason why is because of your ward that you placed, right? It's not like your teammate's ward that you're not aware of. You know he's clearing down, and I don't know how new you are to jungle or to the game or however, but it's kind of like common knowledge that Volibear is kind of like the king of early game. Like the three champs that almost never can fight early game, like Volley, Trundle, like Briar, right? Like these are the type of three champs that like. If you're any like normal champ in for jungle, Lee Sin, Viego, and Zhao, Jarvan, just any random Joe Schmo, you never win versus these three. So in this case, he's pathing down, so he's in bot river. You should know that your 1v1 is definitely not winning, and your bot lane recalled, so I would not even come here. If you didn't place your ward and you didn't know where he was, then I'd say it makes sense to walk, but again, because of your own ward that you placed, you should know he's here. So unless your first time versus Volibear, this 1v1 being this bad should not be a surprise, right? And this matters because, again, if you just instantly base right now, boom, you run straight to top grab. Base right now, boom, run straight to top grab. And then if you're here, again, after this crab, you could go to the Gromp, or you look at this timing. Look, Raptor spawn in 32 seconds, Gromp spawns in 56 seconds. That means technically, you could spend 24 seconds chilling here, trying to smite fight the Raptor. Again, you're not trying to fight him or kill him. You could just be in the area, contest your smite, be annoying, and you have like 24 seconds to kill before you have to be on your Gromp, right? So it's one of those things where you could do base, run to crab. After crab, you can if he's not there, you could just take the Raptors away. If he is there, you could try to smite fight him. And as long as you don't die and you're in time for your Grump, then there's a zero downside. You lose nothing, you know. So I think it's a really good alternative. But here, um, and now you do play for the Raptors, but again, I think if you just imagine you based and ran here, you'd have double longsword, you'd be full HP. I think this is completely possible, right? But obviously, with how low you are and the fact you haven't based yet, there's no way you can do what you're trying to do. In this case, first of all, after you get this thing, you should just still base right now. You shouldn't cross map, because then you ask yourself, does this crab give you anything, right? Realistically, if you base right now, you're gonna buy double longsword. If you go Triforce or Kraken first, you're still going double longsword, right? Um, and that's double longsword, 700 gold. You have 860. If you get an extra 100 gold off a crab, right, and instead of basing on 860, you base on 960. Are you buying anything extra? Maybe a dagger, right? It's really not like no big spike is occurring, right? So this place you just base run to crab the same way you did, and then I think if this guy actually messed up. He didn't base. So normally if you just base and ran straight here, you'd have double longsword. Volibear wouldn't, right? And then you'd actually, even though Volibear is way stronger than you early game, if you have an advantage, that could make up the gap, right? So I think this obviously now you're forced to base now, and now Gromp just spawns. Now we can start counting from now. 1, 2, 3. Every second I count is an extra second you're not on your Gromp on spawn, right? And again, most of the time you should always be on your camps as they spawn. Also, of more of Viego specific thing, but long swords are always better than daggers early game. Just on the basis of you'd rather have physical attack damage than long attack speed, because you have no way to gain attack damage, but you have a way to gain attack speed, right? Like your E gives you attack speed, none of your spells give you attack damage. So you're always going to value the stat you have less of, or you have less way of getting. If that makes sense. Now, I think I told you today, but anytime you have two charges of smite, you should always smite. So there's really no reason why you shouldn't be smiting this Gromp, no reason why you shouldn't be smiting this Scuttle, and then no reason why you shouldn't be smiting this Wolf Camp. Any of these camps should be smited. No reason why you shouldn't smite Raptors. It's the same lot. I'm not gonna keep repeating it, but same thing. You have two charges. It's better to smite it, and then the charge will start coming back up. Base here, go to blue. Briar looks like Briar gank bot. Don't know where Volibear is. I think so. Normally, okay, so Volibear has two options. Either A, he's on his top side on spawn, or B, he's on Dragon on like right away, right? Like this entire time. So I feel like A, it's not hindsight. I feel like if you're not getting a notification any second now that he's on Dragon, he's probably top side. Because if he wasn't top side, he'd be bot side. And what would he be doing bot side right now? The only option he has to do bot side right now is to be um, ganking bot or diving bot. But obviously, as you can see, you don't see your bot getting kicked over or ganked by Volibear. And also, you see how that enemy bot, like, your bot lane and their bot lane just fought. If Volibear was bot side and he saw this fighting going on, he would probably show up to it, right? Like Corki Sona fighting to death versus Jinami, right? Like if he was in the area, he would come. So the fact that you're not getting a dragon notification, the fact that you don't see Volibear show up to his bot fight, it's like if it's not in door number A, it has to be in door number 2, right? So in this case, I think because you don't see him in gank bot and because you don't see the notification the dragon has been slain, you should kind of know that he's top side. But it's fine to check just in case. But then this is really strange. The fact I'm really because his Raptors just spawned. See, right? See, Raptors spawned in 3, 2, 1. So if he just did, I mean, if his Raptors are gone, it means he just did them on spawn. Then he did his Raptors and then didn't do his red. So that's a bit odd. I think normally when you see Raptors are down here, you should instantly leave. I know you got rewarded, but again, logically speaking, Raptors, you see them on the map. They spawn in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. And then, so that means when you show up and they're dead, that means he must have killed them in the last 15 seconds. So if he killed them in the last 15 seconds, why would he not do his red buff afterwards? I know in this case you're like, oh, okay, well I got rewarded, so how? But you see how logically like his red buff shouldn't be up. So I think once these Raptors are gone, I would immediately leave to my Gromp. The fact you got this to me is like insane. But anyways, good. Go to our camps. Just buffering. Sorry, my cat has having an asthma attack. 1 second. Okay, nice. Okay, sorry. Back to the game. You get a notification that dragon was just been slain. So I think the second you see notification dragon has been slain, as you got it right now. Second you get this, do wolves, do grub, but I think if I was you, I'd be playing for the grubs on spawn. Because you know he's bot side, right? And obviously you see his bot side camps are up, bot crab's up. So he's probably going to do dragon, and then, bot crab, scuttle, and then realistically he'll probably do his blue buff, and then his gromp, and, all his camps, right? Maybe some of your camps. So I think here, if you know he's bot side, which you know he is, because think about it this way, if he has two ways to go to grubs, either he crosses through mid here, or he goes to jungle here. In this case, you have a ward here, so you'd see if he crossed, and then here in a second, when our mid laner starts walking up, now we have vision of here, and we have vision of here. So we know he hasn't crossed, right, recently. And again, we know his bot camps are up, so him skipping his bot camps to run through for the 10-second frame that my mid didn't have his wave in, I think this entire time you could be hitting grubs like you could be hitting grubs right now. Hitting grubs. One grub has been slain. Okay, two grubs have been slain. Okay, third grub has been slain. And then right after the third grub has just been slain. What's stopping you now from walking like this and diving top just from behind him if you think this is a dive? You think this guy's half HP and he's playing a mobile champion? I'm not gonna argue or debate if this guy's gankable or not gankable. That's not the important part. The point is like you could do grubs, and if you think he's gankable or diveable, you could still do this exact same thing instead you just wait for GP to push wave and you'll do another tower instead of doing it like this, If anything, then in that case you won't have to flash you, because, and then here I know you missed, and if you hit it, he would have died because he wouldn't have reacted with his ult, but unfortunately you missed, and then you end up dying too, so then it ends up being 1-for-1, so it's actually not even that good for your team. And now if I'm Volibear and I see that, Viego has been slain, you know what I would do if I was him? I would run straight to the grubs right now and just do them, because with the mindset of, oh, which is what he's doing, the mindset of, oh, Viego's dead, he can't stop me on doing grubs. So now we're playing a game where he's gotten the first dragon, and the first three grubs. And I think that there's no reason why. I think he's always getting the dragon in this game, but there's no reason why you should get the three grubs as well. And he took your raptors. Right. Clearing up, playing to kill this guy. Again, I see no reason why you'd go this way. I would just loop around, right? And then we could just pincer. GB comes from here. I come from here. And if this guy tries to run away, you have the ability to cut him off, right? And if you tell me that, oh, I don't want to go to a jungle because Volibear might be there and I'm scared, well, with that same logic, you can't go for this gank because what's stopping Volibear from just looping around, right? Nice W. Briar ults in, and the game is over. Obviously, it's not like the game. Like I'm gonna keep watching, not like the game's actually over, but like mid bot's been like you've been ignoring bot and mid. You haven't ganked bot once, you haven't ganked mid once. You've only been playing for top, so it's safe to say your top's your only winning lane. And bot and mid are losing, aka top can't, like has to win because if top loses, now you have three losing lanes. And then the second this happens, now top is over. And obviously now mid keeps snowballing as well. And if I was this Volibear, I would now take your Raptors, and then I would also take your respawning Krugs. And now jungle's over too, because he's just taking his objectives, he's taking your camps, blah blah blah. And I think here it's really simple. You have your item, right? Kraken is how much exactly? Is that 625? Just double checking. 575. So like I think this initial gank forced him to base, got a CP. We can consider that a dub, and now it's just time to base and get our item, right? GP's obviously have HP. KO is now TP'd with full. Usually, anytime you have money for a completed item, unless there's a very urgent play happening, like someone's getting fighting right now. For an example, you have item right now, but right now there's an urgent play happening. So usually the rule is if you have item, if there's no urgent play happening, you basically always instantly base for item. Like item spikes in league are really really strong. But if there's a very urgent current play happening, then you'll go to that play first, and then you'll buy your item. So in this case, it makes sense. You're not buying Kraken right now because even though you have money for it, because as we can see in this pause, there's a very very urgent fight happening top right now. Very close, very intense. But so it makes sense to come here first to score your GP, make sure it doesn't die, force Kale to base, blah blah blah, right? And now, Kayla's obvious. Once you see Kayla's based, which is obvious now because you would have seen her if she stayed, especially when you see her TP. Now you know she based because she's not, as long as she didn't base and TPing to tower, right? Now you base. The urgent play is over. GP has gotten his wave in. You burned KL TP. Um, we call it, accept a small win and we base. This entire fight is unnecessary. When you have Kraken, when your GP's half HP, I think if you went back top with Kraken and when GP is full HP instead of being half, and once GP spends his own money as well because he also has money, then I think this 2v2 would actually be winning, right? But obviously, when you have your GP just finished ER, Sense Retriever. He did not have ER before this fight. So you and GP both had complete items in base, and he's half HPs, and he has no ult. So I think if you genuinely just based, then full clear up again, Krugs, Raptors, Blue, Gromp, and then gank top, I think that would be like your game winning potential play, or like that's like your comeback play per se, Well, he dies, you go take his red. Okay, that's what you're going to. Then you got distracted mid. I just think this guy's too fed. This guy's like 5-0. I don't think you have any damage to kill this guy, especially with that ult. And he has stab buys. So I missed opportunity. I think here you have guaranteed free red. If his Raptors are up, you'll take that too. And now you can't take anything because Briar sees you. So if you go, she'll just follow you. And then obviously you cannot kill the Briar. So I think Jungle 101 is play for winning lanes, ignore losing ones. Another caveat to that is focus their weak links, enemy team, ignore their strong links, right? In this case, like Kale, if Kale is the weakest guy, focus the Kale. If Nami's, if they're Volibear is the weakest guy, focus the volley. If Briar's 5-0, you want to, or 4-0, you want to avoid that guy like the plague, right? That's just kind of jungle 101. So in this case, I think you could have taken his Raptors and his red if you just didn't spend the time mid, right? Nice W, didn't have to flash. This W was gonna land anyways, so flash is a bit unnecessary. It's second time this game. You usually see the outline is he's in range of it. And then just back to what I was saying, like he's literally their strongest guy. It's like the only guy you don't want to force like this on. I would say this point of the game's pretty fucking bad. You've lost 3 towers, you've lost 2 dragons, you lost 3 grubs, you're down every objective. You have bounties at 15 minutes means you're down 5k gold. Obviously I'll keep watching, but I think at this point is when the game's over, and it was just a bad early game, right? You missed opportunities. You just missed opportunities to take his camps. Potentially could have taken his Raptors his level 3. Shouldn't fight him on bot crab. that's just a jungle tracking thing where you know where he's clearing because of your ward, right? If he starts top side, he's clearing down. If he starts bot side, he's clearing up. You saw him start Raptors, you know he's clearing down. Maybe it's a matchup knowledge. You don't know that you are weaker than Volibear, but now you know. So if you play against Volibear in the future, you'll learn from it, right? Jungle is avoiding enemies that are strong. Focus guys that are weak, right? Another big one is anytime you have a completed item, and as long as there's no urgent current play happening, you basically always want to base for the item. I think that so far those are the biggest points from this VOD. Again, I'll keep watching. I'm just making sure that you have to understand everything from this point on is 10 times less important than everything we've talked about. League is a game where it's like, the exponential, where the more it is, the more it matters. It's like the opposite, it's unexponential. Um, the farther you go in the game, the less your decisions matter. In a case like when it comes to improving or building habits, like all your early, especially for junglers, when we have all the influence in the early game, your early game decisions, where you're pathing, how you're ganking, when you're invading, all that stuff matters 10 times more than these fights and team fights and stuff. Yes, the team fights and stuff they decide the game, but it's way easier to practice early game than it is to practice late game. And that's a more formulaic way to get better and winning games. But your team's just dying because they're obviously super behind. You're forced to execute. I think the heralding for plates is actually creative and got you a bit of money. So I don't hate this play at all. And then you execute, so you don't even lose anything. But anytime the game is like really shit position like this, it's Operation Bounty Hunter. Like you see someone with an 800 gold bounty, you just try to 3v1 them, 4v1 them, 2v1 them. Like numbers are your friend. Any even number fight, any 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, any fight where the numbers on your team and their team are even, it's going to be guaranteed losing is what you should view it. So you need number advantages. So 2v1s, 3v1s, 4v1s, 4v2s, 5v3s, etc. Right? You just want to put yourself in number advantage situations versus their people with shutdowns. And if you could get enough shutdowns, that's your way back into the game, you know? Like here at Corki base, but let's say Corki didn't base. Going to 2v on the scale top is like a perfect example of what you should try to do, right? In this case, he based, that's not nothing you could have done, but that's kind of like the mindset you should view, right? In this case, I would never go for this because it's a 2v2. Me and GP versus, I guess GP's forcing it, so you have to follow up. I get that. If it was like you were forcing this, I would say no, but in this case, I'd say GP's forcing it, and you're just responding to him. But again, since this is even numbers, 2v2, KO didn't actually matter. That's why it's always going to go badly. If this is 3v2, like you had an extra member here, like you had Corky here or Swain here, then you would win this, right? So you have to just only track numbers, only fight when you have a numbers advantage. When games are this bad. I'm shocked this game goes to 32 minutes. They should literally pull, the enemy team should literally start Baron right now and then just end the game with it. I assume they start inting or throwing. Yeah, I mean that's what happens here. And this is a perfect example. I never watched this live before, and I feel like I'm like the Messiah right now. You guys have 4 people here. It's literally all 4 of you besides JP. It's you, Swain, Corky, Sona. So jungle, mid, AD support. 4 of you. They only have 3 people here. Right now it's their AD support mid. Right. So you guys are up a number, and then this is literally the first fight you've won all game because, as I said, you're up a number. There's 4 of you, 3 of them. Right. Uh, that's just how League is. And now spam ping Baron. Perfect. This is perfect. You're actually back in the game, low key. You're still behind, but that was really really big for sure. Bunch of kills, bounty on the Baron. Now we should group with our team again. Everything worked when you grouped with our team. So now we should group with our team as 4 on mid. Try to use this Baron to maybe break mid tower. I think you're a bit too scared. I mean, you're getting chunked. I don't know what you lost half your HP to. This is stupid. You just walked into Jin's auto attack range and lost half your HP, so that shouldn't happen. And then B, when you see Volibear running at your guy, look, he's not looking at you. You can tell someone's face is where they click. So if his face is here, he clicked here, right? If his face is looking at you, then he clicked on you. It's really simple in League. So in this case, his eyes are like, he looks like he clicked on the Corki, right? Or he clicked like here on the can or something. Then he'll take a night, this click is closer to Corki than it is to you. So in this case, you're moving your mouse here like you're scared he's gonna go on you, but you don't want your Corki to die. He's your carry at this point, right? So I would start charging my W. I'm not saying go in, but I'd throw my W off and then run away. Just try to stun him. Like the longer I can stun him or slow him, the potentially the worse his engage is going to be, the more we can kill him. Because at this point, look how far you ran away. If you are, from this range, where is he? Your W, Q, ult kills this guy. Boom. Free reset. You turn into Volibear? This is potentially a winning fight. Maybe you win the game in this fight, So I think you're playing a bit too scared. You have to realize, like, you're fucking 1 in 5. You're useless. Your job is to play with your teammates. Like, Corky's your strongest member. If I was you, I'd follow Corky around like a fucking dog, right? And just try to, like, enable him. I think this potentially could have been a winning team fight if you saved Corki and went in earlier and got the volley reset, maybe you can kill them all. Maybe you still lose it, but instead of it being a 5 for 2, it's a 5 for 3 or 5 for 4, so you get more kills, right? Play another team fight. Nice. I mean, it's W. Sadly, you just don't have ult. If you had ult, you'd kill Nami there. Get a reset. And also, once this obviously at this point, obviously you know this 1v1's losing, there's no way you'll kill Briar. I would just click what you see. You're kind of holding your ground, odd ringer or odd ringer. Just kind of click away. You might not live, but you might stall your death long enough for it. Here you don't see below you, but Volibear is 1 HP below you. You just run away. As you're running, you notice Volibear, and then you instead of throwing your Q on Briar here, you'd have Q. You Q the Volibear. He dies, and then maybe you could take his body. And obviously, when you take a body, you're invulnerable for a second, and then you obviously heal a lot. And maybe with Volibear body, this fight is not playable, right? But I think your team all dies, lose Dragon, and now the game is back to being fucked. And they scale really well too. They have fucking KO, so it's not like you guys are. I mean, you guys scale well as well, but they just have a way bigger lead, and they definitely don't scale poorly. And they have Soul. Like Soul is just its own scaling, and then they get Baron. They have Soul, and I assume it's just too hard now. I think the game is too cooked. Yeah, you might like. I mean, you're open Nexus. You might delay the inevitable by a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I think most of it's from the early game. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Discord. I'm Chad Jungle on Discord. The Jungle Kingdom here on the top right. Besides that, that's all I have for you. Uh,